Our never-ending search for that elusive creature known as the perfect Bigfoot film has taken us on dark journeys in the past, but nothing is worse than the despicable land of lying liars who lie. Those who trounce around the woods in a furry ape costume, trying to cash in on the excitement by faking an encounter, in my opinion, are the worst of the worst, as all it does is delegitimize those who believe a creature like Bigfoot could exist. The two films I'm looking at today on Toes of Terror cover that very subject. Let's go squatching.
There! There! There!
Welcome back to ML Miller Frights. I'm ML Miller. Before we begin, please do me a favor and punch that like button down below. Share this video with all of your social media addicted pals. Click subscribe to this channel and ring that bell for notifications. Hoax is available to stream on Tubi. It's directed by Matt Allen and written by Matt Allen and Scott Park. After a group of campers disappear, leaving a bloody campsite and rumors of a large monster roaming the dense Colorado forests, a TV host searching for fame gathers a group of experts, a biologist, a bodyguard, a pilot, a cameraman, a reporter, and the father of one of the victims to answer the definitive question about the existence of Bigfoot. As the members of the group are picked off one by one, the answers they find are quite definitive indeed. But is it Bigfoot or a hoax? Hoax is a well-intentioned film. It's got tons of references only horror fans will recognize, as well as a cast supporting some genre greats. The film most likely was made by fans of the genre and sports a modest budget to make those adorations come to life. There's a lot to like about Host, but the film does sport some blatant flaws that keep it from being a genuine Bigfoot classic. I really can't appreciate some of the references dropped in the film. The entire first scene is a condensed Friday the 13th installment with Bigfoot as the slasher. They even quote the campfire story scene almost verbatim. Later, Adrienne Barbeau makes a cameo, and horror icon Brian Thompson from Cobra and X-Files factors in prominently in his role as the bodyguard with a heart of gold. As much as I like these nods to horror's past, they are anything but subtle. The Friday the 13th opener makes fun of the vapidness of slashers rather than honors them, and Adrienne Barbeau's lines about coming in from the swamp and mentions of a crate are downright painful to hear. It's less witty banter as it is simply working in an obvious pun in a place that it doesn't belong. The acting here, and not only the original sequence, which I guess is supposed to be campy, is rough all over. Besides Thompson, who is surprisingly great in the film, the rest of the cast simply scream and read their lines, sometimes at the same time. The way the film looks doesn't do it any favors either. Brightly lit and blandly staged, there's a point-and-shoot feel to the way this one looks, as if no time was spent on caring about filters or dramatic lighting or camera setups. Hoax works once the sun goes down. The night scenes are actually quite moody and gruesome, as are the particularly bloody ways in which the researchers are dispatched by our hairy antagonist. I was impressed at how much this film works in the after-hours settings compared to the limp sunshine moments. The quality and tone are as different as, dare I say it, night and day. It's too bad more of this film wasn't filmed in the nighttime, as I think I would have been much less critical. The twists and turns that pop up during the last 20 minutes are inspired. This feels like a film that had a good ending in mind when it started, but simply didn't know how to get there. I'm going to give Hoax 2 feet and a pair of toes.
There!
The longer I stuck with Hoax, the more I liked it. It's got a rough start, and the middle portion meanders, but the ending really delivers some jolts and surprises. It's too bad the rest of Hoax didn't work on the same level. Next up is Animal Among Us. It's available to stream on Tubi. It's directed and written by John Woodruff. Roland Baumgartner, played by Christian Oliver, seemingly has it all. He's supermodel handsome, he's got a beautiful wife, and is expecting his first child. He's a college professor and the writer of a best-selling book about a vicious forest attack at a campground that left everyone dead and those living full of trauma and questions. All signs pointed towards a character of a Sasquatchonian nature as the culprit. Years later, a pair of siblings, Anita, played by Larisa Oleynik, and Poppy, played by Christine Donlin, are trying to get people to look past the camp's horrific past and reopen. When Roland is invited back to the camp for the opening, an all-new string of murders begin. Looks like Bigfoot's back, and Roland might have a new subject for his next book. If you sensed a bit of snark in my description of the main character, you're right. I really had a hard time liking this guy at first because he was way too supermodel-y to be believable in this scenario. He makes his beautiful wife look homely. Not only is he handsome, but he's a brainiac too. He has the perfect job with students fawning all over his professional prowess. His biggest problem is that he can't think of an idea for his next book, and that really wasn't enough to make me care for him. The problem is that the film spends the entire time trying to get you to sympathize with the guy. For the most part, by the time the story reached its end, I actually did feel for him, though the actor makes it tough to do so. Actor Christian Oliver isn't terrible, but he isn't great either. He's just kind of a piece of meat passed around by the females of this film and ends up paying for it by the time the credits roll. While I think that the hints of Raymond's infidelity are prevalent in the film, for the most part, he's portrayed as a stand-up guy. But the message in the end seems to have seen a different movie, and doles out some pretty vicious punishment to the poor guy. This is problematic because it feels like the filmmakers wanted to make a film about infidelity, but were hired to do a Bigfoot film. They tried to cram it all into one movie, and the filmmakers weren't very successful in doing this. This seems like a film made by a screenwriter who was unfaithful to his wife and is trying to make up for it by putting his cheating protagonist through the ringer. That said, I love the scenes at the camp. Actors Larisa Oleynik and Christine Donlin are extremely likable as Anita and Poppy, bickering sisters who co-own the camp. Seeing these two riff off of each other and scheme to keep the camp running are what make this film a lot of fun to watch. The Bigfoot scenes in the woods are done decently as well. I like the unexpected twist at the end. This squatch is downright brutal with those who enter the camp, leaving large blood splatterings and gory body part piles in its path. All in all, the camping horror bits make up the best parts of Animal Among Us. I'm going to give Animal Among Us 2 big foots and 4 toes. I wish the filmmaker would have stopped at the camping stuff and left the moral outrage on the cutting room floor. Animal Among Us has some fun with the Bigfoot legend. It's got likable characters, but the lead seems swiped right off the cover of GQ, and it's the film's weakest link.
You're doomed to live the life you're meant to be. Stuck inside your reality. You're doomed. Oh, you're doomed. You're